the largest city in former English North America, 40,000 souls. Now, my friends, I had in my possession something called a promissory note. It had been given to me by an American agent in Paris by the name of Silas Dean from Connecticut. It had promised that if I, the Marquis de Lafayette, were to come to America, I would be granted the rank of Major General in the Continental Army. So there I was, promissory note in hand, and I approached your Congress. And I said to them, honor me so by granting me a command in the Continental Army that I too might fight against tyranny. And now what does Congress say to me? No, exactly. Thank you for coming, Monsieur le Marquis. We appreciate you offering your services, but we don't need or even want your help. Now, can you imagine, my friends, what I had endured up to that moment? I had left my regiment. I had disobeyed the King and Queen of France. I had traveled 8 long weeks at sea, seasick nearly every day. I had nearly been killed by the first Americans I met here in America. I had traveled from South Carolina all the way to Philadelphia in the month of July, just to be told by your members of Congress to return back to France. Well, my friends, what would you have done? Would you have returned back to France? Oh, I think some of you might have. Of course not. You would persevere. You would overcome. You would triumph in the end, just as I had done. So once again, I attempt to speak to Congress, saying, very well, you will not give me a command of soldiers, but perhaps you will allow me to serve as an aide-de-camp to General Washington, as an assistant to the great man. But again, they say to me, I'm sorry, Monsieur le Marquis, but once again, this is just not possible. Besides, we don't have enough money to pay you. Well, my friends, I finally said boldly to your members of Congress, then I shall serve at my own expense. And would you know it, with those immortal words, your Congress immediately made me a general officer. I could not imagine my good fortune, for back in France I was but a captain in the French army, and a newly promoted one at that, only because my father-in-law owned the regiment. So it was a bit of a wedding gift. But here in America, I was made a Major General, a General of Division. I could command upwards of 5,000 soldiers. Yet I never commanded more than 50 in my entire life, and all at the age of 19. Well, good fortune followed me again. For that very next evening, the people of Philadelphia were holding a ball for General Washington, a party. You know all about parties, don't you, madame? But this one held in honor of General Washington for defending the city of brotherly love. I recall when he walked into the room, for I knew exactly who he was, for he spoke, even though we had never met before. It was simply by the way in which he carried himself. For to me, he was truly an aristocrat without the name, a nobleman without the title. He came forth, he held out his hand, he said to me, I thank you, Monsieur le Marquis, for coming to support this cause. Think of this new place as your new home. Think of the officers around you as your new family. And think of me as your new friend. And with this, I could not help myself. I immediately embraced him. I think I might have embarrassed him a little bit with my French custom, but I did.